Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in more positive and encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity, designed for more than just therapists. If you're a helping professional in any way, diversity in clinical practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And it's available in paper and audiobook versions for your convenience. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself. And if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one on one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author or speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world, one strengthened relationship at a time. So, today I want to share with you an encouraging perspective on humanizing your enemies. Today, instead of focusing on one specific tragic event, I'd like to spotlight an underlying contributing factor to many well publicized tragedies, as well as many unpublicized, more personal relationship destroyers. And that is the tendency to dehumanize our enemies. Though, when we're not actively fighting a physical war for our immediate lives, day to day struggles and disagreements have the potential to make people feel as though their lives, their livelihood, or their quality of life is indeed on the line. In this way, every disagreement or difference between you and someone else has the potential to be seen and felt as though you have to fight for your rights to live your life as you choose or lose those rights altogether. Now, to be fair, in many ways, there is merit to this perspective. The reason why we vote is not because if we don't, the next day the world will end, but because small perspectives lead to small decisions, and an abundance of small decisions can have a big impact and eventually impact your lives and your livelihood. That is indeed true. However, what is also true is that if we are to be effective in bringing about change in our environment for our own as well as the livelihood of others, then how we respond to disagreements with those who we consider our enemies must be strategic. And while every situation is different and no one rule can guide every conflict resolution opportunity, one constant has the potential to have a significant impact, and that is learning to humanize your enemies. Here are a few considerations to assist you in those efforts to implement or even consider how to humanize your enemies. Consideration number one: humanizing your enemies helps you refine your message. How can humanizing your enemies do this? Well, when you dehumanize anyone who opposes you or doesn't share your perspective or who is pursuing a goal that doesn't meet your needs, then it's easy to see them as less than an individual and more as a representation of a force that is against you and your efforts to meet your needs. Sometimes that force is a group of people. Sometimes it's an organization, a political party, or even a cultural group identity. No matter the factor, it has the potential to amplify the perceived threat and thus your perceived need to defend yourself against this enhanced threat. However, outside of the existence of a variety of threats around the world, near and far, if you remind yourself that you are speaking in that moment to an individual who has thoughts and perspectives just like you and is making the most of that information and experiences that they've gained just like you, then it has the potential to help you maintain a healthy, not enhanced or magnified perception of the threat that that specific person whom you're talking to is. And consequently, to focus your efforts on identifying what that person is saying, the experiences that contributed to that person's perspective, and what that person may need to hear in order to see your perspective more effectively and to feel as though you hear theirs as well. Which leads to consideration number two: humanizing your enemy can reduce your opposition. What do I mean? Well, to put it simply, when you humanize your enemy and help them feel heard, even if you don't agree with each other, you're able to show them that you took the time to understand why they feel what they feel, believe what they believe, and are proposing what they're proposing. then that has the potential to de escalate the intensity of the opposition they're sending your way. Because sometimes what may look like an attack to you is really their effort to aggressively defend themselves from a perceived attack from you, and vice versa, leading to a vicious cycle of, well, you didn't even listen to what I had to say. Well, that's because you didn't listen to what I had to say first. While inversely, what this means is that if you take the time to listen and help the other person feel heard, they may feel inclined to return the favor. Again, this isn't about agreements as much as it is about helping the people who you disagree with focus on legitimate differences and perspectives rather than the evil nature of your enemy in the first place. Which leads to consideration number 3. Humanizing your enemy reminds you of the goal, and that is to gain an ally. While the goal of every argument could be seen as to gain agreement from the other person for your side, or simply put, to get them to see that your way is the best way, this is not always the case and will not always be the case, nor should it be. Sometimes your way is not the best way, but as long as the fight feels like one between good and evil, then the outcome will always feel like it has to be win or lose. But this too need not be the case. If we learn to humanize those who we consider our enemies, then we can begin to see them as people who have a different set of needs to be met and fears that need reassurance, just as you do. From this perspective, we can see what feels like inconsiderate and offensive actions can be seen as misguided, ill informed, or illegitimate efforts to meet legitimate underlying needs. And if this is the case, then instead of winning a battle between enemies, we can learn to see and convey a legitimate desire to meet as many needs as possible on many sides. Accepting that while perfection is not possible, starvation of the other side is not the goal. That's the kind of allyship I'm referring to. Not we're all on the same side and believe the same things, but no matter what side we're on, you are a real person who has real needs, even if they're different from mine. And while I'm working on meeting my needs, I will also try to help you meet as many of yours as I can. And as I've learned in many years as a marriage counselor, sometimes along the way, we learn that what we thought was really a need was just a want. And sometimes what we thought we needed was really an unhealthy attempt to comfort a fear. It's just that realizing that meeting that perceived need resulting in hurting others, by doing so, we could be open to learning how to comfort those fears in healthier ways that don't have that impact on others. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you would do your part, one personal or professional relationship interaction at a time, to humanize those who you see as your enemies. Not as a sacrificial gift to someone else who hasn't earned the right to it or to the detriment of your well being, but instead as a way to hear better, to be heard more effectively, to reduce your opposition and achieve the often elusive win win solutions. A little tip in that effort specifically is that a mutual partial win can plant the seed for mutual wins down the road if you're open to it. But for now, the first step is to consider the possibility that your enemy may not be the personification of everything that's going wrong in your life, one person in front of you. They are a person trying to get their and their loved ones' needs met just like you. Speak to that person behind your enemy's mask. You may be pleasantly surprised by the healthy relationship that forms as a result. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Do podcast. If you have any pressing diversity related questions that you'd like me to address on an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame free and empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at www.diversitymadesimple.com. And if you know anyone else who can benefit from a positive and encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, feel free to send them a link to this podcast so they can be encouraged as well, or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share it with someone else so that they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
When I walked across that stage at my high school graduation, I was excited, but confused about my next step. Then I walked through the doors at Doherty Family College. Doherty Family College is part of the University of St. Thomas. It's a 2-year college that lets you earn an associate's degree and puts you on a path to your bachelor's degree. Classes are small, so I have a personal relationship with professors committed to my success. Like the name says, they treat us like family. They call us scholars because they believe we could do anything we put our minds to. They set us up for excellence with free tutoring, and that's not the only thing that's free. Laptops, books, even breakfast and lunch, and bus fare. That's part of the package here at Doherty Family College. It's even free to apply. So do like I did. Go to dfc.stthomas.edu and set up a tour. We'd be excited to welcome you to our family here at Doherty Family College.
What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.